They called him Demon, not as a joke, not with irony. They called him that because it was the only word that fit. The Pitbull had arrived at the shelter 3 months earlier, muzzled and snarling, with scars crisscrossing his face, and a look in his eyes that said, "Don't even try." He'd been dumped outside the gate in the middle of the night, tied to a broken metal pole, dehydrated, emaciated, blood on his paws from trying to escape whatever life he'd had before. No microchip, no tag, no name, so the staff gave him one that matched the fear he inspired. Don't go near Demon unless you're ready to lose your hand. That's what the kennel manager said to the new volunteers, and everyone listened, because Demon didn't bluff. He growled at food bowls, charged the gate at the sound of footsteps, shredded 3 heavy-duty toys in 20 minutes. And once, when a vet tech accidentally brushed against the kennel bars, he snapped so hard his gums bled from hitting the metal. They stopped trying to walk him, stopped trying to pet him. They only opened his kennel door with a barrier shield and used a catch pole to clean his space. He was scheduled for euthanasia in 10 days. Nobody protested. Nobody could, because nobody could touch him. But not everyone was afraid, at least not at first. The little girl's name was Lily, 7 years old, curly hair, gap between her front teeth, always wearing oversized sweaters with unicorns or cartoon cats on them. She wasn't a volunteer, just the daughter of one. Her mother, Jamie, worked intake at the shelter, and when Lily had nowhere else to go after school, she sat in the corner with her coloring books and whispered to the dogs through their cages. They all loved her. Even the timid ones came forward when Lily sat by their kennels. She never raised her voice, never tapped the glass, just sat, drew, and softly said hello. Sometimes she sang, badly, off-key, but always gently. She noticed Demon on her first week. He was in the back corner, cage draped with a towel to keep him from seeing the other dogs, or vice versa, but Lily didn't ignore him. She just watched. "What's his name?" she asked one day. Jamie hesitated. "Demon." Lily scrunched her nose. "That's not a name. That's a warning." Exactly. But Lily wasn't convinced. "I don't think he's a demon," she said, more to herself than anyone else. Her mom knelt beside her. "Sweetie, that dog is dangerous. You can't go near him." Lily nodded and didn't go near, but she did something else. She started sitting by the wall near his kennel, 5 feet away, coloring, humming, sometimes sliding a page under the kennel door with little hearts drawn in crayon. She never tried to talk to him directly, just existed near him, day after day, week after week. The staff didn't stop her. They figured it was harmless. Until the day the towel fell. A breeze through the open back door blew the covering off Demon's kennel, exposing the bars. Lily didn't move. She kept drawing. Demon exploded. He lunged at the bars, snarling so loudly that 2 volunteers screamed. Lily flinched, but only slightly. Then, calmly, she picked up her coloring book and turned her back to him. Everyone held their breath, but Demon didn't bark again. He just stared, and for the first time, didn't growl. That night, the security camera caught something no one noticed in real time. After closing hours, when the lights were dim and the shelter echoed with quiet barks and yawns, Demon walked to the edge of his kennel, sat down, and stared at the wall where Lily used to sit. He stayed like that for 2 hours, still, watching, waiting. For the next 5 days, Demon didn't lunge at the bars, not once. He still barked when other dogs passed, still growled when a staff member walked too close, still shredded every toy they tossed inside the kennel. But at exactly 3:20 p.m., when Lily arrived after school, he stopped pacing, stopped snarling, and sat, always facing the same spot on the wall where she would settle in with her markers and coloring pad. The first day, they thought it was coincidence. By the third, they knew better. Jamie noticed first. She tried not to react, told herself it was just a fluke. "He's still aggressive," she reminded herself. "This doesn't change anything." But it did, and everyone felt it. The head tech, Marcus, started standing near the observation window during Lily's visits. He watched as Demon shifted from agitation to something more like curiosity. His ears stayed high, his body language softened. He still didn't approach the front of the kennel, but he no longer exploded at shadows. Then, one afternoon, Lily did something no one expected. She spoke to him. Really spoke. Not in a baby voice, not in fear. She sat cross-legged and said clearly and gently, "I don't think you're bad. I think someone made you feel like you had to be." No one else heard it, except Demon, and for the first time in his miserable shelter existence, he did something that made every staff member's heart stop. He wagged his tail. Just once. But it was enough. Word spread fast. The Pitbull wagged at the girl. He didn't growl at her. He sat and stared like he was trying to understand. One staffer, known for being skeptical, said, "Oh, she must smell like peanut butter or something." They laughed. Nervous laughter, because deep down, none of them could explain it. Jamie pulled Lily aside that night. "Honey, I know you love animals, and I know you think he's just scared, but Demon is dangerous." Lily looked up, serious. "Then why is he scared of me?" Jamie blinked. "What do you mean?" "He never looks at me when I'm close, only when I sit far away. That's what scared people do." It was such a simple observation, one no behaviorist had made, that Jamie felt her chest tighten. Her daughter wasn't guessing. She was seeing. 2 days later, the staff tested something. They removed the towel from Demon's kennel permanently, left the bars visible. Lily still stayed 5 feet away, still colored, still sang. Demon still stared, still wagged. A week after that, something changed again. Lily reached into her backpack and pulled out a folded piece of paper. It was a drawing of Demon. He looked different, less jagged, less angry. He had big eyes, a silly tongue, and a purple crown on his head. She slid it under the bars. Demon sniffed it, didn't shred it, didn't growl. He lay down beside it, rested his chin near the page, and sighed. A sound so soft, so foreign to him that the security cameras didn't even pick it up. But the shelter staff watching live? They all heard it, and no one said a word. That evening, the director called a meeting. "We can't let her in the kennel." "Of course not. But we can't deny what we're seeing." They reviewed his file. His history, or lack thereof, 3 failed evaluations, 2 aggression warnings, 1 scheduled euthanasia in 5 days, and then Lily. No protocol covered this, no textbook explained it, but nobody could deny it. That dog is different with her. Marcus offered to try something new, guided exposure therapy, with Lily present, but safely behind a barrier. They'd used it with traumatized animals before, but never with a child as the anchor. Jamie hesitated. "She's only 7, and he's only alive because of her," Marcus said. That Friday, they tried it. Demon's kennel door was opened for the first time in over a month. No catchpole. He wore a muzzle. 2 handlers flanked him. The air was thick with tension. Lily sat across the room behind a chain barrier. The moment Demon saw her, he froze, not in fear, in recognition. Then he did the unthinkable. He sat, then lay down, facing her, and wagged. Marcus exhaled like he'd been holding it for days. Jamie covered her mouth. "Lily?" She just smiled and whispered, "Told you. He's not a demon. He's just waiting for someone to name him different." The next sessions were careful, structured, measured in seconds, not minutes. Demon, now referred to as D on the whiteboard, was allowed out of the kennel only when Lily was present in the room. She stayed behind a waist-high barrier. No sudden movements, no reaching. Just her, sitting cross-legged, humming while she drew. Demon responded like he was being pulled by a magnet. He'd sit a few feet away and watch her, sometimes wagging, sometimes tilting his head like he was trying to understand every line of color she traced on paper. On the 7th session, Marcus placed a worn rope toy between them. Not a test, just a prop. Demon looked at it, then at Lily, then picked it up and, slowly, brought it halfway to her side, laid it down, stepped back, and waited. Lily didn't touch it. She just said, "Thank you. That was very kind." The staff behind the glass held their breath. That was the first time Demon had voluntarily shared anything. It wasn't just progress, it was a choice. The next breakthrough came by accident. Jamie was distracted. Lily dropped a crayon. It rolled beneath the barrier and stopped an inch from Demon's paw. Everyone froze. Lily didn't lunge for it, didn't ask for help. She just looked at Demon and said, "Could you give that back, please?" And Demon? He stared at it, then gently nudged it with his nose, sliding it back toward her fingers. The room fell silent, then erupted, quietly, tearfully, with awe. That night, Jamie found her daughter brushing her teeth with one hand and holding her drawing of Demon in the other. She'd written something new across the top. "My friend's name is Dobby now." Jamie blinked. Dobby? Like the elf, from Harry Potter. He used to be scared too, but then someone was kind, and he got brave. Jamie didn't argue, she just nodded. Because honestly, the name fit. The shelter staff updated his file the next morning. Demon, renamed Dobby, per Lily, status, pending behavior reassessment. They still used gloves, still kept the muzzle during transfers, but something was happening, a shift no one could deny. The real test came on day 24. Marcus stood with the leash in hand, Lily across the yard. "We don't have to do this today," Jamie said, anxiety leaking into her voice. "He's ready," Lily said, "but I'll wait until he asks." "Dogs don't ask," Jamie muttered. "Dobby does." Marcus opened the kennel door. Dobby stepped out, muzzle in place, leash loose. He looked around, sniffed the grass, then walked, not ran, toward Lily. He stopped 2 feet away, then sat, then, slowly, placed one paw forward, the way he'd done with the crayon. Lily didn't move, didn't squeal, just opened her palm and laid it, face up, on the ground. Dobby sniffed it, then lowered his head and rested his nose inside her hand. The yard went still. Marcus blinked away tears. Jamie didn't even try to hide hers. And Lily? She just smiled and said, "Hi again, Dobby." He didn't growl, didn't flinch. He wagged, twice, then licked her wrist. That night, the shelter posted a photo. Lily sitting cross-legged on the grass, Dobby curled beside her, chin on her lap. The caption read, "The dog no one could touch, just chose his person." Calls flooded in, offers to adopt, to foster, to feature the story, but Jamie turned them all down. He's not ready, he's still healing, and she's not done helping him. In the following weeks, Dobby was walked without a muzzle for the first time. He passed 2 behavioral reevaluations, stopped destroying every toy they gave him, started sleeping curled up instead of rigid, and every single day at 3:20 p.m., he waited by the door, until Lily arrived. The call came on a Tuesday morning. An elementary school had invited the shelter team to present adoptable dogs for their Pet Kindness Week. Normally, they would have brought only calm, pre-approved therapy dogs, but this time they brought Dobby, not because he was ready, but because Lily asked. "He needs to see the world," she said. "What if the world isn't ready for him?" Jamie asked. "Then he'll teach it," Lily replied. No one argued. Not anymore. They arrived early. Dobby wore a soft vest embroidered with his name, not Demon, not Dangerous, just Dobby. His tail wagged slow but steady. He didn't bark when kids screamed on the other side of the fence. Didn't pull when Marcus clipped the leash. He stayed focused, because he knew Lily was there, watching. The first part went well. Dobby sat while second graders passed by in small groups. He licked the hand of a nervous little boy, let a girl pet behind his ears, his old trigger spot, without a single flinch. Even laid down when a toddler tripped and fell beside him. It was like watching a completely different dog. But then, just as the final group approached, the bell rang. Too early, loud, shrill. A dozen kids burst from the hallway at once, running, screaming, backpacks slamming. Sudden chaos, and Dobby froze, ears back, body low, eyes darting. Marcus moved quickly, wrapping the leash around his wrist. "Easy, boy, easy." But Dobby started to shake, A whimper escaped his throat, high and panicked. One child ran too close and dropped a book bag beside him. Thud. Dobby snapped his head toward the sound, muzzle still off. A volunteer reached forward. "Grab him!" But then, from the other side of the fence, a voice rang out, small, confident, unshaken. "Dobby, look at me!" It was Lily. She wasn't screaming. She wasn't afraid. She was kneeling by the gate, arms open. "Come on, Dobby. Come be brave with me." And the impossible happened. Dobby looked at her, then turned his back to the chaos and walked toward the fence, calm, trembling, but choosing her. Again. He pressed his head against the bars, and Lily touched his nose. "You did so good." Dobby sighed, sat down, and licked her fingers through the metal. The entire courtyard went silent. The staff, the teachers, they didn't cheer, they didn't cry, they just watched, like they were seeing something sacred. Later that day, the school counselor approached Jamie and Marcus. "That little girl just taught every kid here more about trauma than we've managed in 5 years." That evening, Lily sat on the floor of the living room with her mom. Dobby lay across her lap, eyes half closed, tail brushing the carpet. Jamie stroked his back slowly. "Do you know what you did today?" she asked Lily. Lily nodded. "I reminded him he's safe." Jamie blinked back tears. "You reminded us all." The shelter officially removed the aggressive label from Dobby's file the next morning. Marcus updated the system personally, then added a note. Highly responsive to emotional anchoring, not to be separated from Lily under any circumstances. They laughed when they saw it, but no one disagreed. When the director of the City Animal Welfare Board visited the shelter for a routine inspection, she noticed the drawing still taped to Dobby's kennel, the first one Lily had given him. "Who drew this?" she asked. "His behaviorist," Marcus said. The woman chuckled. "They're 7?" "Exactly." That day, Dobby got an official title. He wasn't just another saved dog. He became the mascot of the shelter's new trauma-informed rehabilitation program, named in his honor Project Dobby, because labels can lie. A new wing was proposed, with Lily's crayon drawing as the logo. And Dobby? He slept through the meeting, curled at her feet, tail still wagging. Dobby never went back into the system, not because he found a home, but because he created one. After the school visit, things changed. The shelter received hundreds of letters, from parents, from kids, from former shelter staff who admitted they had once labeled a dog like Dobby and still regretted it. One letter came from a woman who had worked in juvenile corrections. "If your team is ever open to expanding the project, I know some young boys who carry the same kind of scars, and I think they'd understand each other better than most adults can." Marcus printed that one and pinned it to the new bulletin board labeled "Why We Stay." Dobby's drawing wall expanded. Every week, kids brought new pictures, versions of him with wings, with superhero capes, with Lily riding on his back through a rainbow sky. They didn't draw his scars. They didn't see them anymore. What they saw was what Lily saw from the start. Loyalty, gentleness, a dog who waited until someone gave him back his name. One morning, Lily brought a box to the shelter. Inside, all her crayons. She handed them to Jamie with a note that read, "Other kids might need these more now. I already found my colors." Jamie asked, "Does this mean you're done visiting?" Lily shook her head. "It means I'm ready to help others feel what Dobby made me feel." "Which is?" "Safe enough to stay." Dobby's old kennel wasn't used anymore. It stayed open, empty, but no one touched it, not out of fear, out of respect. On the gate, they hung a small wooden sign. This is where he waited, until someone saw who he really was. They started bringing in more dogs deemed too difficult, ones with aggressive in bold red across their files. They didn't meet with trainers first, they met with Lily. She sat outside their kennels, just like she had with Dobby. No words, no pressure, just crayons, songs, and presence. More than once, she walked out of the room, looked Jamie in the eye, and said, "This one? He's scared, not dangerous." And she was always right. They trained other kids, too, called it compassion circles. Each child paired with an animal others had given up on. No one forced interaction. It was all on the animal's terms. And the results were miraculous. Dobby aged with grace. He still growled in his sleep sometimes, still twitched when thunder cracked. But never again did he lunge. Never again did he bare teeth in fear. Because Lily had shown him that it was okay to let go, that he didn't have to fight to survive. He could rest, he could trust, he could belong. On his 10th birthday, they threw him a party, homemade dog cake, a paper crown, a photo of him and Lily framed and placed at the entrance of the new training wing. Underneath it, a plaque. He wasn't saved. He saved us. When the time finally came, years later, and Dobby lay curled on the same spot where he first met Lily, she sat beside him with quiet tears and whispered, "You're not a good boy. You're the best boy." He didn't need a vet to help him go. He just sighed once and went with the peace of someone who knew their purpose was complete. The shelter kept the name. Project Dobby became a national model. And Lily? She kept drawing. But not dogs anymore. She drew hearts with cracks that glowed instead of bled. And above each one, she'd write, "Some of us don't need fixing, just someone to sit quietly until we come back." If this story touched something inside you, let it live beyond the screen. Share it with someone who's been labeled, misunderstood, or left behind. Leave a comment telling us about the animal or person who sat quietly with you when no one else did. And subscribe for more stories like this, because sometimes the greatest transformations don't come from saving, but from staying and believing that no soul is beyond reaching, not even the one they once called demon.